Yeah. I told you this stuff made me go get hype, baby. You would sit there and go like this, and you'd get us all pumped up. There he is right there, joining us in studio. Not just, wow, man. I don't want to call you an old friend, a dear friend, because when you say old friend, it implies that we're old and we're still young. I still think you can play corner, man. You're in great shape.
Absolutely not.
Okay, well, I can't play flag football either.
That's a young man's sport. I'm over 50.
When you were a young man and roaming the gridiron for the Miami Dolphins, there wasn't a fourth quarter timeout that didn't come on. They play this song, Crank It Up, baby. It was everybody. 70,000 would get hyped.
Everybody going crazy.
Patrick, JT,
Jason Taylor, Tim Boynes, Zach Thomas, Adewale Ogunyele, Brock Marion. Man, I can go on for days, but you know, this was a time where it wasn't really open at the time. Like, people didn't really like it. You see the celebrations and everything going on now, but because we were in our stadium and, you know, 305 at that time, using local music and having our artists down here be a part of the stadium, it was a song that really got us going, and we played it in the locker room. We played it no matter where we were, and it just got everybody hyped up, and the whole entire stadium. And when you're talking about 3rd and 3, and they're backed up into the end zone, and then that song's come on and everybody's dancing, everybody was ready to go, and you know, the crowd got into it and we was able to get off the field a lot of the times.
So I want to ask, speaking of like getting hyped up, was there anything you did personally to get in a flow state pregame?
So for me, early, you know, in the day, right, when you get into the locker room, like, I'm literally listening to R&B, like, I'm in a calm, cool manner, like walking on eggshells, like, but in that state, I'm thinking about plays that happen throughout the course of the day. I mean, throughout the course of the week. Yeah. I'm thinking about plays that, you know, the receivers and the quarterbacks, you know, have had big plays, because I don't want to give up those big plays. So all of those things are running into my head, but when the whole team starts to come out, they come out in different phases. The kickers come out first, right? And then, you know, you have the wide receivers and the quarterbacks out there working on their timing. And then, you know, the defensive backs, linebackers, everybody come out in different phases. So right when you're getting ready to go out for your phase, the warm up, that is when it really kicks in, because there are already fans in the stands and they're waiting for you to come out and they're already cheering and waving. So you got to be ready to go.
Now, we know that you were selected by the Miami Dolphins in the second round of the 1997 NFL draft. How did it feel to wear that jersey, to, you know, play with those boys and, you know, just put it all out there for the Dolphins?
Man, so I got drafted on my birthday.
Wow.
Yeah.
No way.
It was April 23rd, 1997. I was in Atlanta with my brother. And a lot of my close friends. I'm originally from North Florida, right? So my dad is from Tampa. So throughout, you know, my football, you know, life, I was a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. And at the time, Coach Tony Dungy was at Tampa Bay. So I was all in, like, I want to stay in Florida. I want to go to Tampa Bay. That was my team growing up. And then Jimmy Johnson had totally different, who coached here at the University of Miami, had different plans, and I got drafted in the second round. So, you know, and you see me with my chain 29, my hat 29. When I was in college, I wore number 13. So guess what? When I got here, it was no way I was getting 13, because y'all know who wore number 13, right?
Yeah.
Dan Marino. So whatever jersey was in my locker, that just was my jersey. So I was like, okay, 29, I'm going to make this number, you know, memorable. And, you know, from that day forward, I've just been aqua and orange. Even though I've gone off, played, and coached at other teams, I bleed aqua and orange. So no matter what, it just was a special time, being drafted in itself. And when you say that 1997, second round, 44th pick, one of the best duo that's ever played the cornerback position, Pat Surtain, he was drafted in 1998, second round, 44th pick. So, you know, it's amazing that Jamie was able to get two of the best corners in Dolphin history in the same pick in the same round, back-to-back years. So it's real special to wear the aqua and orange.
So what would you say separated you and Patrick from other defensive duos in the NFL at the time?
Because we played press man-to-man from the beginning of the game to the end of the game. Okay. We challenged wide receivers. We dictated the way that the game was going to be played. We allowed our defensive line to, have extra second to get to the quarterback because Jason, he was always an undersized defensive lineman, but he had speed. So if we can give him one more second or he had an opportunity to be able to set him up with his speed, it gave him that opportunity to get to the quarterback. So for us to be able to play press, and you always hear it to knock off the timing of the route, right? We played man-to-man in your face also with Terrell Buckley, where all three of us played 5 years in a row together, and we dominated our space. You look at some of the top 5 defensive of the course of, the 5 or 6, 7 years that we were together. It was, lo and behold, in behalf of that we were able to play press man-to-man outside and not give up big plays.
As a leader of the Dolphins defense, how do you approach motivating your teammates and getting the unit together?
Every game is different. You have a different challenge in different positions week in and week out, okay? So you already know when you play the Baltimore Ravens, and I'm just talking about today, right? You have to focus on Lamar Jackson. Right? So what's going to dictate that? The defensive line, your front four, and your linebackers. And you may even have to, implement a safety in that position. So you have to play a lot more man-to-man, okay? Because Lamar Jackson is a guy that gets outside of the pocket. So that game dictates and put pressure on me. So I have to go and make sure that my man-to-man coverage is good so the defensive line. Okay, let's go back and let's look at the greatest show on turf where they have 5 wide receivers and Marshall Faulk coming out of the backfield. So now that's going to put pressure on the defensive line. That's going to put pressure on Jason Taylor to beat Jonathan Ogden, who was one of the best offensive linemen at the time, and not allow these track stars to get down the field and Kurt Warner could just throw the ball up and down the field. So the motivation is every week you have a different challenge in front of you. So you have to attack that challenge not only on your behalf, but on your teammates' behalf. So there's never a day that you can go out there and let up. So if it's in practice, if it's the off season, and definitely during the week, and especially on game day, because that's when you see the big play capability.
I just wanted to know, as a student athlete myself, when was that moment that I made it moment? Wow, I'm really here.
So for me, my sports background is a little different, right? Mm-hmm. I look at kids down here, and you guys know from 5 years old, kids are playing youth football, and that is pretty much all that they play, and it's all year round, because we're 80 degrees all year, right? So for me, I started out playing baseball. I was a baseball player. I love baseball. I really didn't start playing tackle football until I got in the 7th grade. So 7th grade, I got there, and it wasn't for me. I quit. Okay, and then I went back out in the 8th grade, but I was good in track. I was good in basketball, but baseball was my first love. Then I left and I went to Tallahassee, Florida A&M University. They didn't have a high school. They didn't have a baseball team. So then I started playing tackle football. I was a running back in high school. I surpassed 1,000-yard running the bone formation. Y'all probably don't even know what the bone formation is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the wishbone. That's 3 running backs in the backfield, and both of the deep backs, both of us had 1,000 yards our year, but I had the least amount of carries, but the most explosive plays. Mm-hmm. So Howard Snellenberger, who left University of Miami, went to Louisville, and I won 4 state championships. I won in track as the 4x1, the 4x400, long jumps, triple jump, all these different events, and we won 4 state consecutive titles in high school. I went to a championship in basketball, but we ended up losing in my senior year. So I was just a versatile player. But Snellenberger drafted me as a wide receiver. Recruited me as a wide receiver to Louisville. I got there, I got redshirted, and all of a sudden, my spring year, he shifted me over to defensive back, and then the rest was history. But, you know, when I transitioned my redshirt freshman year from wide receiver to defensive back, and just understanding how I was able to pick up little things quick and fast and be able to implement on the field, I knew that I was pretty advanced and understood how to play this game.
So hearing your background and your childhood, who was your mentor or someone you looked up to, or to help you keep going? Or
So I grew up in a little small town right out west of east of Tallahassee, like 30 miles. It's a little small country drive. I think we probably have like 15, if that, 1,000 people, one flashing light. So it really was my brother. My brother was 6 years older than me. So he was an undersized offensive lineman. You know, he dominated at the center position. He won state championships when he was in high school. He played baseball, so I always played with him. So I always was trying to compete and be better than him. He didn't, take it easy on me when we was playing out basketball. So that was my motivation to always try to beat him. And once I got into the 8th grade and being challenged by him on a consistent basis, all of my friends were bigger, stronger than I. I was always the smallest guy in the huddle, but I had a big, strong heart, and it just was fun, just the competition throughout the course of my childhood.
It's incredible, even though you're University of Louisville and you've always given me a hard time about being hurt.
Absolutely.
Always.
But,
you always text me when you would be. I'll never forget being in that bowl game.
So it's two different things. Like a diehard University of Miami fan, and then so any other time I'm all UM.
I know you
besides when we play local.
But I do think it's funny, the coincidence that you didn't play at UM. But in your football career, the two most storied University of Miami head coaches were your coaches.
Absolutely.
At Louisville, you had Howard Schellenberger, who's an institution in Miami and got us our first national championship.
Yes.
And then, of course, with Jimmy Johnson, talk about an institution, Hall of Fame coach on every level. And indeed, having those mentorships and those experiences, your career speaks for itself, but that in itself brings some great stories, some that we're getting insights on right here on Insights. And when we come back from break, our student broadcasters will keep asking you some more questions.
Good.
And you keep delivering the info. You're listening to Insights here on Sirius XM 145. Yep, hokey and all. I like it better than the T-Pain version. I'm sorry, you're never gonna get me to like that version, no matter how new school it is. Miami Dolphins. So I got a specific shout out. This was the section I used to sit in, and my season tickets, 428. It was the family section.
All right.
It was a Sunday night game against the Titans, man.
Oh.
And you guys, I don't know because I've heard you before in interviews remember that game because it was super loud, but there was just a vibe that night of all nights. And it's a clear memory to me so many years later. Somebody from Section 428, Octavio's giving you a shout out as he's listening on Sirius XM 145.
Subsection 428. Loved them.
Yeah, we used to rock it. You could see us right around dead center behind the goalpost. As loud as anybody could be. We should have been closer up, though. We've been a little louder, maybe help the
Yeah, that
Dolphins.
was one of my most memorable games, though. Like, I mean, when you talk about 3 interceptions,
That was crazy that night.
Some people don't even go a whole year without getting 3 interceptions. But that was, Sunday night football. Nobody's really watching. I mean, everybody's really watching because there's no other game on. But playing against the Titans, who I think they eventually went on to go to the Super Bowl.
I believe that was the year they went to the Super Bowl and lost by a yard.
Ended up losing, but just understanding route concept and understanding, where your teammates were going to be. Because on 2 of them, if I didn't pick it off, Surtain was going to pick it off. And I just was able to undercut because when we talk about what we do different than other guys earlier in the show, playing press man-to-man, right? So my guy is on the outside, and I get a really good jam on him. So Surtain was in the slot. His receiver is off the ball, so it gives him an opportunity to have a free release. When you hear sports and you listen to commentators, you talk about free release, and that's giving a guy an opportunity to just run off the ball. So he had a free release. Pat is on the inside at the nickel, so it gives him a lot of space. But now when you have a receiver getting jammed and another receiver up the field, you see the separation there that's in it. So by the time I turn around, the ball is right here next to me. What do you want me to not go for the ball? So I undercut the ball, and I did it 2 times. I got 2 interceptions. One other time, I dropped that one. So I was like, listen, if they run this route any other time, and you always got to understand route concepts, right? So they're going to come back to this. I jumped this route 3 times. I'm not going to jump it again.
Yeah.
And then they ended up throwing the fade route, and I stayed with my guy this time, and I still come up with the 3rd interception. So that definitely was a memorable night. It really, taught me understanding route concepts and believing in those things throughout the course of the week, that they're going to come up. You just have to be in a position to make those plays when they do pop up.
Wow, that's amazing. So I wanted to ask, can you share one of your experiences playing college football at Louisville, or one of your favorite memories playing on the field with Miami Dolphins?
I'll share some Louisville stories, right? One of the situations where, we were here at it wasn't Papa John Stadium at the time. They're in a new stadium. Our stadium used to be a horseshoe, and it was at the fairgrounds. But, the opportunity to first get into the game, my first time ever getting into the game, okay? Again, when I told you I was converted from wide receiver to defensive back, so I wasn't really used to tackling. So I was a little hesitant of doing that. But here it was. Snellenberger always gave us an opportunity to showboat, as you can say, coming from the University of Miami. You see all the things that they do back then and how they are now. So we had this kickoff coverage team. And, we're getting ready to kick the ball off, but somebody got hurt. And then they was like, Sam, you're in. So all of a sudden, this is my first time in a collegiate football game. Yeah. And we always had this thing where, the 2 lines will get the call, and then we'll high step out to our position. One side is going one way, the other side is going the other. And I ran down the field and I made the tackle, and it was inside the 15-yard line. And they said my name on the intercom.
Wow.
Yes, they're on the tackle, Sam Madison from Monticello, Florida. And from that time, and I could hear it loud and clear. And from that time, I was like, I need to hear that more often. So, I tried to learn to tackle better. I tried to learn making more plays, and I did a pretty good job at the University of Louisville. I set a lot of records in pass breakups and interceptions, but still the top leader in a lot of those categories. So it's always good to go back and to feel the energy of the crowd. And I had an opportunity to go to homecoming my first year this past year and push the train button, and that was crazy and a great experience. So yeah.
Outside of football, what are some of your biggest passions or like hobbies?
I like going out to see different. Whenever I'm in a specific city, I like seeing, national parks. So I just had an opportunity to go and go out to South Dakota, and that is where the monuments of the presidents and see those. And I had opportunity while I was there. Crazy Horse it is a monument where he's carving his whole Indian into a mountain, and I went all the way up to the top, Mount Rushmore. So being able to go to different parks and see different things. I went to Nashville, right in Tennessee, where they have, you go down in the bottom and it's a waterfall, and you go all through the lime rock and all that. So it's some pretty cool stuff. My latest one, I took my youngest son. We flew over the Grand Canyon. That was very, very exhilarating, and just to see how, you're looking at large bodies of water miles and miles in, and you're like, how did this water get up here? And see and know that we're above, thousands of feet up in the air. It's pretty amazing, but yet still it's exhilarating at the same time.
So I want to ask, what life advice can you give to like younger people? Because you've been through a lot, you've had a lot of experiences, you're very wise, and during your career, you had 13 career surgeries, and I know that's like hard because you want to play football, and like recovering and rehabbing is like a long process, I'm guessing. So it's like, what would you say?
I mean, as a young person, and you guys ask me as soon as you get like, Sam, you look good, you can go and play. No, I'm past 50 years old, and that's a young man's sports, right? So, and a young woman's sport, right? So you guys, y'all have opportunity to recover quicker and faster. So when you're looking at NFL players, NBA women, soccer ladies, no matter what the course may be, they're putting their body through a very, very strenuous activities, so you see the results on the field. So, when you're going to do it, make sure that you put 100% into it. And I talk to a lot of you guys that's on the panel right now, and all of you guys play sports. So you know what it takes. You know the camaraderie that you get with your teammates. You know the bonding that you get, and you know how it feels when you win a game, but yet still you know how it feels to lose. So, when you're in a competition type situation, you got to go all in, because it's not only about you, it's about your friend. Like, it's 11 guys on the football field, right? In youth sports, in high school, in college, and in pros, right? But before you even get to the pros, let's talk about youth, high school. Like I told you guys, I was the smallest person in every huddle. But when you look back, out of all 11 guys, out of my high school team, out of, my college team, maybe one or two make it. You don't know who it is. You never know who's watching you, So, when you're putting in the work, understand you're doing it for a reason. You're doing it for yourself, because you want to push yourself. You want to motivate yourself. You want to make sure that you push yourself to the highest limit. But understand that your friend next to you, he wants to go more, and he wants to go further. So you have to push him. I know with the accolades that I got early on in my career at corner, it pushed Jason Taylor to become a Hall of Famer, because I saw his work ethic. So you guys talk about early on about working with my other guys. I wanted to push him to be his best, and he wanted to push me to my best. So always give it your all.
You know, I took a peek at a picture of where you started playing football at Louisville. It's like a baseball stadium made into a football. Like,
Yeah.
you want to talk about humble beginnings, right? Everybody starts somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, Frank and I started on internet radio, and it was ratchet. We had like 4 listeners. Little did we think we'd be running a huge, serious XM radio station. You got your start
Yeah.
football on the baseball field, and here you are today talking to kids about your NFL football career, which was amazing, your days with the Miami Dolphins, and so many things that you've done along the way. Sam Madison, I appreciate you coming into the studio. As you can see, you forever see
Yeah,
here.
man.
I told you I was a
Long
kid.
time ago, man.
Yeah, you signed that many moons ago. I had hair back then. We really do appreciate you coming.
Good. Thank
through,
you
man.
guys for having me and appreciate it. And very good job.
Well, indeed, they did a great job, and so stoked to continue doing Insights. Coming up next, he is a local icon on radio. My goodness, man. I've been listening to ZOG since he was, imagínate, jovencito. He's going to go, wait a minute, I'm still jovencito. Yeah, but you're like a little ZOG. DJ ZOG, an institution in South Florida for Power 96.
Yeah.
He'll be interviewed next right here on Insight Slam Radio, Sirius XM 145.
Thank you.
Turn them on. Yeah, they know that's Biggie.
Do they?
They know it's Biggie. Yo, we live. We do this seamlessly, baby.
If we go individually, will everyone know?
I think that we.
Go to your
All you gotta tell them is,
Hey,
hey,
you're-
Diddy didn't have anything to do with it. They're like, oh no, Diddy. They freak out. Joining us here on Insights. This guy's an institution in South Florida.
Spell institution.
Bellevue, Bellevue, a mental institution. Sometimes Slam Radio is a mental institution, but indeed, you got to take some crazies to put kids together, do a 12-hour broadcast, and invite 24 people to be interviewed by these teenagers. You would think, what teenager is going to have the presence of mind to interview these people? Well, you're listening to it live right here on Sirius XM 145. Your host, Larry the Amigo Milian, as we are killing it. And thank God I don't have to ask any of the questions because our students got this all covered. Our next guest, Boy, I've been listening to you. Like, I'll never forget. Frank, you remember the little CD that it was the 5 o'clock mix, and they used to put out these CDs and give them out at activations from Power 96. And I have one of your old ones, man. Like, you had to be a teenager. You had to be their age.
My mama would never take me, man.
No?
Like, no, I don't have time for that. She would never take me. But I do remember those days because there would always be advertised, and I'm like, man, oh man.
And I'll tell you what's funny to me is I would play it over and over. When I got out of work at 5 o'clock, I would just stick the CD in, and it was the same mix. I knew it, and I wouldn't take it off because it was you. And I just think it's so funny. I grew up loving DJing, messed around with it a little bit, backed away from it. Now I'm back to it 6, 7 years in. But it's you, it's DJ Laz. Laz has been my mentor. But listening to you and your quirkiness on the air and then becoming a radio host, this has been amazing. He's joining us here with Naria, Emiliano, and Amaya. He is DJ ZOG from Power 96 here in Miami, Florida. My brother, how are you, sir?
Crazy. Look at this. The crowd is just going insane right now.
Insane.
Crazy.
For a bonus $500, can anybody tell me what a CD stand for?
Compact disc.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding. They're eclectic.
I knew it was this, but I didn't know
They're
the rest.
eclectic and quirky. Zog, they're eclectic and quirky indeed, but I leave them to you, and you are in amazing hands here.
Thank you.
at Slam
Thank you,
Radio.
Larry. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. Actually, I think I'm going to hire you for every appearance that I do so you can do that intro right there.
Laz said the same thing. Everybody says it.
Did we
Hire
record
me.
that? That's recorded, right?
It's definitely recorded.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Memorex, by the way.
Thank you. This is awesome.
All right. Good morning, DJ Zog. It's a pleasure to have you here. And for the record, institution is spelled INSTITUTION. Institution.
I was going to spell it as Slam Radio, but here we are.
And my question for you is, what's the number one song you get requested the most, and what song are you most tired of hearing?
Oh my God, what a difficult question. Why didn't anybody tell me that I was going to get asked that difficult question? The most requested song, that's a tough one because when it comes to, because I DJ a lot of parties and clubs, or even when I'm on the radio, everyone has their own world that they're in. So, sometimes, I get, believe it or not, lately, a lot of people, and it just came to mind right now, believe it or not, and I don't know if they're going to freak out when I say this, but a lot of parties that I do, and whether it's a quinceañera or a wedding or a 16-year-old birthday party, Dancing Queen by ABBA.
I love that song.
A lot
Sorry.
of
I
people,
love ABBA.
For some reason, I don't know why everyone's asking me for that song, but I'm down to play it. I play it towards the end of the party, and everybody gets into it, and it's kind of like a turn up for some reason.
It is. I think it's because of a trend on TikTok or something.
That's
I love
what it
that
is.
Song. I love that song.
That's what it is. I can't stand playing Macarena. Don't ever ask me to play I hate playing that
Would
song.
you like me to play it for you?
Please do not play it. I'm out of here.
No, go ahead.
I wanted to ask, you've been DJing for many.
Do I have to say the exact number? Because
Many
then what ends up happening is, man, that guy's old.
Many years.
Many.
Yes.
Years.
Okay. Emphasis on the many. Go ahead.
Emphasis on the many. I wanted to ask, do you remember your first gig? And if so, what was that like? What was your first feeling?
That's a good question. So I do remember my first club gig.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was about 16 years old, and it was at a nightclub called Ruins.
In a club?
Nightclub was my first nightclub gig. I remember that's my first nightclub gig. It was at a Ruins nightclub, and it was, I think there might be a CVS there now, or is it I don't know. It's a 601 Collins Avenue on South Beach.
It was many years ago, so I don't
Exactly. I know.
right.
That was my first club gig, but I do remember my first private gig where I DJ'd. I believe it was a quinceañera in Kendall, and I remember DJing and rocking the party. And I was like, man, you know what? I think I might be successful at this because I had everybody dancing on the dance floor and everybody was into it. I'm like, okay, I like this, and I've done thousands of gigs since then. Good question.
Knowing you've been a DJ for many.
Okay.
And through generations, how did you see the music taste change, and how did you find a way to still play something that everybody liked with your little spice on it.
That's the key, because you have to pay attention to what people want to hear. And I think part of my gift, because there's a million DJs out there, right? Anybody can just press play. You're a DJ, congratulations. You have people in front of you dancing. But no, I think the key is, can you read a crowd? Can you read a room? You walk in a room. I do it all the time. I'm like, okay, I like to get to like a gig early and like, let me analyze the crowd, and are they into maybe more reggaeton, or maybe they're a little bit more into more English music, or maybe more disco. So you got to read the room. And so it's always paying attention and being on top of, these days, being on top of trends. But I'll be real with you, and I'm going to be 100% with you. What's happened, though, because of the decline in music quality, a lot of people are going throwbacks and old school, and that's what they like to listen to. When I do all types of parties these days, people, I'll play a Kendrick Lamar here and there, but for the most part, maybe a Sabrina Carpenter, but for the most part, honestly, I can DJ for 3 straight hours, any type of gig, and throw only throwbacks. I don't know if you know these artists. Nelly.
Yes.
Missy Elliott.
Yes.
Dr. Dre. Snoop Dogg. Biggie, Fugees, Lauryn Hill, old school Shakira, all the Pitbull stuff. I can play all that stuff, not play any new music, and nobody will walk up and complain. Everybody will be like, okay, that's cool. I'll keep rocking. I'll keep it going. So that says a lot about where music is today, unfortunately.
Frank says the same a lot.
So do you prefer like mixing live, or do you prefer like having stuff like planned before you put it out?
I mix live always. What I'll do is I know if I walk into, like I'll DJ at a club in Kansas City, Missouri a couple times a year, and it's a Latin club though. And so I know that I'm gonna play like a bunch of, reggaeton artists that for sure, like I'm gonna play more Bad Bunny or some Ozuna or the Nicky Jams that always work. And so, but I never ever have a pre-planned mix. That's a good question. I go live, straight up. All right, let me see. Everything you hear is at the moment.
I have a question for you real quick. I don't mean to interrupt anybody, but when you're mixing, so many times they teach us as DJs to keep it within a genre, right? So you're talking about throwbacks. How do you find that transitioning to the new music from the old music works? And are you using a lot of the redrums? This is a DJ question, really. But are you using a lot of the redrums of old music? You hear a lot of old music resampled with a backdrop of certain beats that are fantastic that make it more modern.
Yes.
More recognizable. Are you dropping those into your mixes and using
a lot of it, yes. A lot of the
I find that a lot of people want to come up and ask for the newer music, and a lot of times this music either we don't know or it's not as popular as Power 96 would have them play.
Like I said, I'm not getting a lot of people coming up to me asking for like a lot of new music. You know why? Because everybody I guess the whole thing is that anybody that wants new music, they just go to their phone. Here it is, And a lot of music is not necessarily danceable music. I mean, it really just depends on the genre, or the party that you're at, the setting that you're at. But the throwbacks, for some reason, whether it's a bar, whether it's a wedding, I don't know. People they want to hear the throwback 90s and 2000s stuff for whatever reason, and I'm okay with that. I mean, if people like it, I'll play it. That's what the DJ, obviously I'm not there to play for myself. I'm there to play for the crowd. If I have to play Macarena for the stupid people that requested, then I will, but I don't want to.
Mi pregunta para ti es, ¿cuáles han sido esos momentos claves en tu vida que han definido el por qué lo sigues haciendo? ¿Por qué sigues aquí?
Can I answer in English?
Yeah, you can, don't worry.
So I love that question, because somebody recently asked me what drives me, like what continues, do you have to have a passion for this? And to be able to, whether it's, be on a stage or be in the DJ booth and DJ for a crowd and watching them dance and watching them sing the music and get all into it, I'm controlling their happiness at the moment, right? Whatever I play, I'm dictating if they're dancing or not. So that is what keeps me going. I like making people feel good. That feels great. The best, honestly, is like the big like events and the big concerts. I actually, a couple years ago, I opened up for Pitbull in Orlando, and imagine having, at the Amway Arena, having whatever it is, 10,000 people in there on a stage. And you know what I dropped and they went crazy for? Staying Alive by the Bee Gees. I dropped out and everybody went crazy for that stuff. So having people react and smile and sing is what drives me to, keep doing it. That's why I have the passion for it.
So kind of now piggybacking off of how you said that you opened for Pitbull,
Yeah.
Orlando.
Yeah.
Do you still get stage frights doing it, even if it's opening for Pitbull or if it's doing a quinceañera or it's doing a nightclub? Do you still get that stage fright, that moment, like that pit in your stomach right before you start, and you're like, oh God, here we go again?
It's gotten better throughout the years, but I still have the small, like on a level from 1 to 10. Let's say 15 years ago, it was at an 8 or a 9. Now it's down to a 3 or 4. So not as much because I always do my homework. I know where I'm walking into. Whatever event I'm doing, I ask a million questions. Who's the crowd? How many people? What do they like? If I'm DJing, for example, let's say I'm rocking a wedding or a Sweet 16s, I'll ask the client, like the bride, or I'll ask the quinceañera or whatever, give me your top 10 songs that you must hear. You have to hear them that night. So once they give me that list, I have an idea of where they want to go. And, so if they request a certain song, if they want Drop It Like It's Hot, then I know that I can play a bunch of other Nelly and Dr. Dre songs because they're going to like that too.
En tus propias palabras,
Yes.
en tu opinión como DJ, por decir, en 10, 5 años más adelante, ¿cómo ves la vida de la música a lo que es ahora? ¿Cómo lo ves?
That's a difficult question because I don't know where AI is going to take everything. I'm a little nervous about that as well because, as you know, anybody can make a song now. AI, you just, type it in. Make a song about this. Make a song about my smelly shoes and my smelly socks, and boom, you got a hit record. So I don't know. I hope that we still stay with human talent as opposed to computer everything being generated. But I guess we'll see what happens.
Toughest question to ask a DJ. What is your favorite song of all time? Right now, before we go to break. I'll tell you mine. It's Billie Jean by Michael Jackson.
That's a good one. My favorite song of all time is probably December 1963 by Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons.
Oh, boy. Late December back in 63.
That's right.
Oh, boy. Maybe we can do something about that when we come back on the other side from Insights. We're interviewing DJ ZOG from Power 96. He's on the table with our experienced and professional student broadcasters. Back from break, they'll continue asking him more. You're listening to Insights on Slam Radio, Sirius XM, channel 145. You know what's funny is a lot of kids at Slam like this guy. I started teaching like 8 years ago, and the kids would randomly go, "I love Frankie." I'm like, "What? What do you know about this guy?" So, ask and you shall receive, DJ Zog.
Amazing.
Talk about a request line. Our students here working as engineers of the show, running the board. They do an amazing job, led by Alessandra Arias back there. So song selection, sound, whistles, everything that you hear in the background, that's them.
I would jump up and start dancing like a maniac right now, but I don't want to freak anybody out. Okay.
I've got no shame. When we get older, we don't really care.
We
Right?
have a myriad of videos of him jumping from the floor onto the table and just moving it.
Don't tempt me.
Please don't. You will crease.
Nah, I don't want to scare Zog off.
No, he'll crease his sneakers.
Never. Look at him how impeccable they are. DJ Zog, take it away.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me, guys. And I want to say this only because I think we'll get to it eventually. Because I've been doing it for such a long time, I want to just give in like 90 seconds. People always ask, how did you start? How did you start, like when it comes to the radio part of it? And I will never forget, I was a teenager listening to the radio, and I'm like, one day I want to DJ on Power 96. One day I want to be that guy to scratch and mix and all that stuff. And there's a skating rink back in the day called Hot Wheels, and then they switched it to Super Wheels. But anyway, back in the Hot Wheels days, they had DJ competitions there. And I entered the DJ competition. I lost a couple of them. Eventually, I won one of them, and I was able to be a guest DJ on Power 96. And that's how I started.
Wow. Es impresionante porque justamente esa era la pregunta que me estaba carcomiendo. Yo decía, Dios mío, yo quiero saber qué inspiró.
Yep.
Y también quiero saber cómo ha sido tu viaje para encontrar tu propia identidad a la hora de esta conexión con estos géneros de la música.
I've always what I figured out is don't be fake. A lot of people are trying to be somebody like that they're not. So as genuine as I can be is what I try to do. And when it comes to like playing the music, and I know I talked about it earlier, where I really need to be the gauge for the room and for everybody, and that really is what determines a very good DJ. But you know, people don't like fake. People don't like fake. People want, you got to be real, and you got to be 100% with them, because people detect that stuff and they don't appreciate fakeness.
I just wanted to ask. I know how you just said, like, you could play a song and there you go, you're a DJ. How did you find a way to, spice it up enough so they find you and they're like, oh, this guy's different. We're gonna get something better out of him.
So I can't believe I want to say before social media, but a lot of it was word of mouth in the very beginning when I started. Because look, straight up, pretend you go to a restaurant and you have a great experience. You already know what you say. In every business, you want that person to come back. All right, I want to go back. I can't wait to go back there again. So as a DJ, I made sure back in the day, whenever I rocked parties and whatever I did, was I memorable? Did I rock the crowd? Did they say, we got to see this guy again? Or we want to hire this guy. And so that's what I do. And now with social media is like, are you posting enough? Are you posting things that people want to see and they want to experience it? So I'll be honest, I'll be real, I have to do better at that. I'm not that good at it. I do it once in a while, but I got to do it more, because I like to remind people that as a DJ, I like to play all genres of music. That's the thing. Another thing with DJs like these days, like, oh, I play everything. No, you don't, fam. You're a liar. You don't play everything. Just because you play like reggaeton and some Spanish doesn't mean, can you play old school hip hop? Can you play disco? Can you play 80s? Can you play freestyle? Can you play some 90s dance? So not to be here and pat myself on the back, but I know all the genres. Like, I can play it all.
Has playing in Miami influenced what your general genre, the one you play most?
Yeah. Oh, Spanish. Latino, all the way. Especially since my parents are Colombian, so I like to shove Colombian music down people's throat every once in a while, just because I want to. But guess what? They dance to it. They like it. For some reason, everybody likes Shakira and Carlos Vives and Juanes, But yes, that has made me a better DJ for sure. And the old school reggaeton, like the old Don Omar and Daddy Yankee and stuff like that, that was big back in I forgot what year that was. Evie Queen and Tego Calderon, I'm sure if you hear the songs, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Knowing that and playing that here in Miami has made me a better DJ, because I can go internationally, which I do. I've played in Belize, I've played in Brazil, I've played in Puerto Rico, I've played in a bunch of places, and all that has in common, I play all the top 40 stuff, Rihanna and Drake and 50 Cent and all that stuff, but then I can play all the Spanish stuff too.
So talking about how you've played in so many different places.
Yeah.
Do you have a crazy thing that happened or a
Yes, I do.
significant
Yes,
event
yes,
that
I do.
happened
I
at a
do.
gig?
I was in about 12 years ago. I had the DJ in Brazil, so I prepped myself, and I'm like, I'm gonna get all this samba Brazilian style music. I'm gonna rock this. You know, I'm gonna rock these 2 parties I'm gonna do. So I get to Brazil, and you know, I start playing like some of like the samba style Brazilian house music. And it's like, it's okay, it's whatever, but everybody ended up getting intoxicated, and then all the dudes would come up to me, he'd come up to me and he's like, yo, play some Biggie. Yo, play Tupac. And then all they wanted to hear was like the whole night was that and you know, like the 80s, Madonna, Michael Jackson, Journey, I'm a small town girl living in a lonely world. Like all they wanted to hear, I'm like, and I rocked it and it was great, but it was like, and Brazil likes that stuff.
That song you just sang, though, they redrummed it about 6-7 months ago off of Beat Source.
Which one?
Just a small time.
Oh, Don't Stop Believing.
Don't Stop Believing. Yes, by The Journey, right? They redrummed that several times.
Several. I can type it in my computer right now.
I have 20 of them.
I have, yeah, exactly. I have like 20 versions of that.
They want us to play that at these things, but
I know.
I couldn't agree with you more. Where you think you're hitting up something, all these people like this kind of music. And they go, can you play Biggie? Can you play Bad Bunny?
So it was later in the night when everybody had a little couple of extra vodka tonics and vodka club sodas. After that, that's when like, yo, man, you got to play. It was all a dream, and then went off on that stuff, all the Biggie and Tupac and the classic hip hop stuff. So,
Do you think like music would make a comeback into what that early, like late 90s, early 2000s music was? Or do you think the decline is going to keep going of people wanting to use more AI and it being like this slow music instead of like this hype, I can dance in a club, in a party type of music? Or do you think hopefully there's going to be a comeback to what music originally is?
I think the comeback has been happening. I think it's here now. I think if you pay attention sometimes, and I saw it the other day, I watched a commercial for, I don't know, was it a rental car or it was a clothes detergent? It was all like throwback 90s hip hop that they put in there. So I've been paying attention to a lot of commercials. Start paying attention to the music they play in commercials too. You might not know it, and then you do a little research. You're like, wait, that's old 80s or 90s or early 2000s hip hop. You know, you know. So
Do you think artists are gonna start not remaking, but taking inspiration and going back to like those type of roots?
A lot of artists are stubborn and they want to make their music now. Here's my music now, my new song. Listen to it. And it's like, you know, sometimes they're good, but a lot of people like the throwback and old school stuff. And I'm not saying that that's it. I'm just saying that it's very difficult for people to embrace things they don't know, and that's new music. And it's a lot easier for people to embrace stuff that they already know. So, you know, you play 5 songs that you've heard of, and then you're comfortable with it. Now you play 5 new songs that you've never heard of. You're like, okay.
Like, what's this?
Yeah.
Do you think TikTok has a big influence?
100%. Yeah. I think TikTok is probably the main reason why TikTok is why the throwbacks came back to life.
Yeah, me and Frank kind of did a thing where we went on TikTok and we looked up like music people would love to like hear in a club or at a party, and it was all 90s and 2000s music. And you would look for music from now, you couldn't get any. It was all house music, all REM beats and stuff. And people really do enjoy like the 80s, 90s, and 2000s music more.
I think it's because for the most part, music nowadays is like to chill and to relax and to vibe and all that stuff. It's not really to dance or go out. The only time that you hear music like that is with the Latino community and everything like that when they make music.
Right. A lot of people, you're right. And I think that there's less dancing these days, but that's, I think, where Spanish music comes in. Because when you listen to a lot of Spanish music, you want to dance to Spanish music, you know?
The new Bad Bunny album.
I love Nueva York.
That's my jam.
I love that one, and I love the other one, Photos, DTM, is it DTMF?
Tirar más foto.
Yeah, I love that one too.
Una pregunta que me causa curiosidad es ¿cómo esperas que tu trabajo sea recordado? Como DJ, ¿qué es algo que tú has hecho durante mucho tiempo para que la gente sepa que esa es tu esencia, esa es tu chispa?
I hope so. That's exactly what I want. I want people to remember me as this guy killed it every single time. This guy was, not only was he a great DJ, but his English got pretty good as well, and he was pretty smart with what he was talking about, and he was more than just a DJ. Because I have, just so you know, I've evolved from just a DJ into a radio host, kind of like what you guys are doing right now. What I'm doing every single day on Power 96 for 8 years. I've been doing the morning show. So some of you might be awake at that time. It's between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m.
Yeah, they do their own morning
doing
show,
our own?
Zog. It's called Good Morning Amigo. I'm your competition. I am no competition.
Oh,
sir. You are the man.
In radio, don't you want ratings to go up?
Yeah.
So why are we playing this song?
Oh,
I thought it was your favorite.
Just to poke at you a little bit, but all kidding aside, also my least favorite song. I can't stand this song, but it's a great way to end this interview. DJ Zog sharing with us a career on radio as a DJ, as a host.
It's a great way to
terrible.
end. A great way to end my good mood.
Yeah, I know, right? It's so much for sliding into a Friday positively. We just did this to poke fun at you. Thank you so much. By the way, that Nueva York song, I was jamming it this summer before Bad Bunny came out with it. The Gran Combo Puerto Rico version. I know I'm dating myself a little bit, but that's okay. I look pretty good. Not too bad for an old man.
It's
right?
okay. Not all of us are going to be as young as I am.
No.
As young as I look. Just kidding. Oh yeah, Zoggy, thank you so much, brother.
Larry, thank you.
We'd love to have you by more often, but I know you're busy in the morning getting that job done.
I'll do it again. Just don't play Macarena ever again.
We won't. We promise. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's another one in the books. Coming up next, entertainment lawyer, slam radio lawyer, Ryan Kairala. He's going to teach us a thing or two in music. He's interview number 11. He might get asked a little bit about that whole Drake beef with Kendrick Lamar. So much more later on in the program. Ashley Gonzalez will be joining us. Her story's amazing as well. I'm having too much fun, except this damn song. I would tell you to take it away, but can you please take it off, Slam Radio?